Lisa Wolf.
It's Julianne de Vivant.
Mara Palmer.
Baron Lorenzo Petrucci. I am Baron of the Barony of South Downs, which is the Metro Atlanta area. Yeah, that's me.
I've been in the SCA about 2 years now.
Well, we first joined about 2002. We played here for about 3 years, and then we moved all over the world, and we just came back 2 years ago and just picked up where we live.
8 years? 8 years.
About 24 years.
I joined mostly because of my friend Marta Vadibai, who had been in the SA for a very long time, and she knows that I love history, and I had really liked history for a very long time, and I liked learning all kinds of new and interesting things, and so Margavati kept kind of hinting that these were great things to do, and that the SCA offered classes on how to do these cool things in history, like making stained glass. And so finally I met one of Margavati's friends who happened to be a stained glass maker, and she offered to teach me, and that was it. I had to show up, so.
Well, I always had a costuming interest, and I was really looking for something where I could make funny clothes and have a place to wear them. And I was also interested in dance, and so I kind of went into it with just a dressing funny thing, and then I got involved and found there was so much to do that I stayed.
Well, at first I just saw these people hitting each other with sticks at UGA for a student group. I'd always done like Renaissance festivals and stuff, but it was never quite the best outlet. Nobody was wearing Renaissance or non-fantasy, and so it bothered me, even though it shouldn't. So when I found SCA, it was a group of people who were in it for a historical purpose, and that's what really drew me to it. Was originally the historical, the costuming, cooking. They threw me in the kitchen my first event. They paid for my first event. Like, here, first event, it's free. Pay it off by working in the kitchen. And those people are great. They just sat there and, here, do this, let's talk. So you get to know people really well. It wasn't until much later that I found like the path I ended up taking, but the immediate family you get, that's what drew me.
Honestly, it's a combination of the classes, because you learn things you never thought you could do, but then somebody will explain it to you in a way that makes it so much more simple, and suddenly you're making really neat stuff you never knew that you could do. And the other part of it is, honestly, the people.
The people.
The kind of community that is built among people in the society.
It probably goes back to that automatic family.
It's getting to hang out and sit around a fire at night, and just the stars and the moon and the firelight, and you're chatting with friends, and it's fantastic.
The SCA, we're family, and we take care of our own. It's very, I don't know, it's just wonderful.
We've had people who are like, hey, we want to visit Europe. And someone's like, oh, you can come crash at my place. I've never met you before. But your family, your extended family, but your family. And that's pretty much what has kept me in, is the support system. Like, I would not be around today if it weren't for these people. Emotionally, I need this. They are my recharge. Normally I'm an introvert. I recharge by not being around people. And these people are the exception to that rule.
If we travel somewhere that we have never been before, and there's an SCA group there, they welcome us as though we were a member of their own local group, and it's a really good feeling to have that kind of global sense of community.
Our membership is sort of a cross-section of people. I mean, we have nurses, we have, IT people, we have artisans, we have people that just come from kind of every walk of life in Atlanta. So I don't think we impact Atlanta as a whole, but we represent Atlanta. We're like a microcosm of Atlanta.
So Atlanta has like Dragon Con, a bunch of other conventions and stuff, and so we'll do a lot of demos and things like that. And there are some people who are like, oh wow, you're wearing cool armor, I want that. I want to learn how to do that. My specific niche within SCA is calligraphy. I have only been looking at 16th century calligraphy. If it's outside of that, I don't care. So there's a lot of modern calligraphy groups in Atlanta, And so I just happened to go to one of their demos because John Neal Books was selling some stuff. And they're like, okay, well, what do you do? Oh, I do broad edge, instead of the point and pink calligraphy. Oh, that's cool. Do you do this? I'm like, no. 6th to 16th century. And so I was actually able to give them the foundation of the history of where their art came from that they just didn't know. You see a lot of people in the SCA who have military backgrounds. They'll sit there and they'll talk tactics, modern and medieval tactics, with people who aren't in the SCA. And that's how they kind of draw it in. So people don't realize how relevant their interests are. And since Atlanta is very blessed to have so many conventions and stuff like that, we get to meet a lot of people and actually have an impact on the community.
So one of the things that we do as an organization is educate the public on history and crafts and all the sort of things that we do and we study through demos and that sort of thing that we do in the community. And so from that standpoint, we provide an educational service. But I think also something that we do is the people that are in the SCA who learn skills, leadership skills, social skills, craft skills, and teaching skills. Those are people who all live in the community, and by creating those people, we benefit the metro area as a whole, even if they don't know that it has anything to do with the SCA.
I think it's important because oftentimes when people think of history, they think of boring. And they think that history is either the Ren Fair or they think it's nothing but old books. And they don't get to see how vibrant and beautiful and interesting it actually was. We refer to the Middle Ages as the Dark Ages, but in fact, it was a time period in which a lot of very important knowledge had been lost, but that forced people to come up with new ways of doing things. And so these great inventions start happening throughout the Middle Ages, and it just sort of blossoms, and you see these amazing things, these transformations happening through these societies, and all of it gets lost. You have history books that just kind of shrug at the Middle Ages. The SCA and the individual baronies for each area, geographically in the U.S., the reason why they're so important is because we can bring that history back and we can show it to people in a way that's reachable, in a way that's identifiable, and in a way that is fun. So people can see history and touch it and taste it and understand it and realize that history is more than just old books. It's fascinating amounts of information and people. And you get to see all these people who represent history itself, these representations of what people used to look like, what they ate, how they talked, how they fought, and it's fascinating, and I think that brings that history to people in a reachable way.
Well, there are skills that we don't practice today. So if nobody keeps those skills up, those skills are lost. And they're not appreciated anymore, and we can't pass those down to other people. And lessons can't be learned from past mistakes. And so the SCA does that really well because people do everything. They do everything from art to brewing to food to costuming to dance to music to everything. Plus, if there's a zombie apocalypse, you probably want to seek out your closest SCA friend because we know how to do stuff. We know how to live without electricity.
There's a lot of modern life. Really, all of modern life and culture is an outgrowth of and predicated on what came before. So understanding how things were done in the past, how society worked in the past, helps us understand what's going on in the world now and all of the intervening history between now and then through the lens of what came before.
It's taught me to be a better person, actually. For lack of a better word, I'm more chivalrous. Because the SCA has trained me to think about everything I say, think of the impact my words have, that kind of thing. Because it's trained me to do that, I've taken that and I've applied it to the rest of my life. And that's really what it boils down to. It's made me a better person.